Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It's a real privilege to be here once again today to speak to you. I had the opportunity a number of years ago, and I really enjoy this conference. So let's jump right in. I've got a lot of material to cover. Three main topics I want to cover today is a very brief ArcelorMittal overview for those of you who don't know our company. I want to talk why we strongly believe that great designs in steel are great designs in automotive, and that steel will continue to be the material of choice. Now, I'm probably preaching to the choir at this conference, but I'm sure a few of you in the room are challenged to look at other solutions, and I'm sure that back in your companies, there are many in there looking at other solutions, and we want to emphasize again what we offer in steel. And then lastly, I'm going to spend a lot of time on what we do at ArcelorMittal. We believe, and we are, the leading technology provider in the steel industry, and I want to talk about all the solutions that we're providing for you, our great customers. Okay, so a little background for those who don't know us. We are still the world's leading steel and mining company. If you look at the facts on here, we have 15 countries of manufacturing. We sell to more than 140 countries, 58 million tons. Now this is crude steel. I'm going to highlight this on this slide because I'll talk differently in a second. 58 million tons of crude steel, and it doesn't include our large joint venture in India. That's not consolidated. That would be another 8 million tons of crude steel. And then obviously it contributes to the other results because it's a strong performing asset. And we've got obviously a lot of employees worldwide, but more specifically 14,000 of them in North America. You can see our financial results are strong, our debt is low, and even with significant capital expenditures these days, we're generating $2.9 billion of free cash flow. So we have the ability to support our customers and work on all these technologies that you need. And I do want to emphasize, because this will come across through everything we do, our four key values of safety, sustainability, quality, and leadership. Okay, so if we look at the things that really drive us forward, I mentioned sustainability a second ago. We do have a group-wide net zero target. You can also see on the right-hand side what our global 2030 targets are for CO2 reduction, and more specifically in Europe, where we are leading in terms of our company in the decarbonization. Health and safety is our #1 priority, and it has been since our inception. And 2030 target to double the number of women in leadership positions to greater than 25%. Now on the innovation side, this is where we believe we really separate ourselves from the competition. We have more than 100 R&D programs underway as we speak. More than 200 trademark products existed from our company in 2023, and 38 new products and solutions were launched. We're launching at the fastest rate we ever have. People think steel is a mature industry. We're proving it's not. Now I want to talk a little bit specifically about North America. I covered some of these facts a second ago, but you know, it's a little funny. I think in last year's conference people were talking about our demise in North America, or maybe our exit, and I want to emphasize nothing could be further from the truth, okay? North America is a critical market for us. We may have sold some assets, but we're reinvesting, and I'll talk about that in a second. We've got 14,000 plus employees in North America, and now on the shipment side, we do bring some slabs into North America to finish because we have more finishing capacity here. We shipped 10.6 million tons last year. So if you look at some of our major assets that we have in North America, we have a joint venture, very large steel plant in Alabama. We have ArcelorMittal Dofasco in Canada, again, a very large and auto-focused steel asset. We have ArcelorMittal Mexico, which has been making a lot of high-strength slabs for our other operations, but we've invested to go downstream in hot roll products, and we're studying further investments as we speak. If we look at long products, we have a very large long products plant in Canada. It also supplies slabs to Dofasco, so they do both flat roll slabs and long products. Most of the long products are for construction, but they do supply some long products into automotive. Mining, we have a number of mining sites in North America. Our largest ones are in Canada, which are shown here, but we also have mining in Mexico. We have reinvested in the last 2 years. We made an acquisition in North America of an HBI DRI plant in Texas. And we have our ArcelorMittal tailored blanks. That's in all 3 countries in North America. I'll mention them a lot more in the discussion going forward, as well as tubular is in all 3 countries. Predominantly non-auto, but our tubular does supply tube products to automotive as well. Okay, so when you get in your 60s, you're allowed to have some leeway and tell some history stories, so I'm going to do that a little bit right now. If we all go back and look at auto magazines in the 50s, they were all touting materials of the future are going to be plastics and fiberglass and aluminum. And you know, steel obviously had to start competing with all these materials at that point in time. In the late 80s and early 90s, the auto industry put a big push on an ultralight steel auto body for a mid-sized vehicle. In fact, the steel industry wasn't even invited to the first meetings. So of course, steel responded, got together through the AISI, formed a consortium, and was able to prove to the automakers that steel could compete and in fact kept aluminum-intensive vehicles out of the mainstream. If we look in 2012, there was a large pickup truck in North America that converted to aluminum. Many experts were saying all large pickups, all large SUVs are going to be aluminum intensive. Didn't happen. And I can tell you that ArcelorMittal was at the design table with all of the auto companies at that time, trying to prove that we had the new steels, the new technologies. And we did prove it, and they did stay largely steel intensive. And then, of course, I was on another auto body conference in 2017. It was quite an entertaining one for me, being the only steel guy there. But there was an aluminum company and 3 automakers, and all of them were emphasizing how vehicles, especially BEVs and plug-in hybrids, had to have 30%, 40%, even 45% weight reduction in order to be a good design. And I was just amazed at some of the exotic solutions they were coming with. Only 2 years later, the German OEM at the table sold their carbon fiber subsidiary, and none of these weight reductions came. Steel delivered them significant weight reductions at more cost-effective abilities. So we've been able to fend off all of these competing material solutions over the years. And of course, there's always one coming. So here we are today. Many automakers, especially for BEV vehicles, are talking about high-pressure die-cast aluminum. What do we think is going to happen? Well, we're here today to say that the steel industry has the technology and the responses, and that if we look back maybe 5-7 years from now, you will see once again that steel remains the material of choice in automotive. So all of those challenges over the years, steel still makes up, this is our analysis, it's aligned with experts globally, more than half the vehicle content. Okay, so automakers, we realize we have to understand your challenges if we're going to have good solutions for you. The transition to BEV brings a lot of challenges. It brings a lot of opportunities as well. So obviously we're all aware of the increased mass. We're aware of what that means in a crash. It means we have to protect the occupants, but now we also have to strongly protect the batteries. We have to absorb all that energy. It's a very challenging vehicle design to come up with, but it also has opportunities. The skateboard design gives you the opportunity to assemble differently. It gives you the opportunity to assemble more modular fashion. And these are some of the opportunities we know that all the automakers are studying. And you're also looking at all of the technology you put in these vehicles, which is massive and very expensive, and the fact that as we come to more autonomy, you will redesign the interiors to give customers more of what they want. So this is a very, very challenging time for automakers, maybe the most challenging time in history. But we realize that your biggest challenge with all of this is to meet these goals in a cost-effective way. And that's where steel is going to continue to be your answer. Okay, we're going to share with you a little bit of ArcelorMittal data here. So if we look at these vehicles that are being produced today, this is 2023 data from our company, and we look at some of the trends. If you look at the trend of high-strength steel that's in a vehicle, what you find is that 9 of the top 10 vehicles with the highest utilization of high-strength steels are battery electric vehicles. It's not a surprise, given the design challenges we just talked about, and given that automotive designers are spending a lot of time making these the most modern vehicles possible. But it does explain that automakers see the value in the high-strength steel solutions. The next slide I want to show you is looking at press-hardened steel only. Now, obviously, press-hardened steel is very strong steel, so it aligns with the last message I just gave, which is lots of high-strength steel in the vehicle. But the press-hardened steel also comes to laser-welded solutions. And there's a lot of laser-welded high-strength solutions being adopted by these vehicles. In fact, it's running 50% higher than the non-battery electric vehicles. And certainly the third trend that we're seeing is the adoption of aluminum die casting. Now, aluminum die casting, once again, is not a new technology. You know, if you look at your vehicles that you drove just 20 years ago and you measured the highest strength steels in those to today, you would find the steels today, the highest strength ones, are 3.5 to 5 times stronger. That's why steel is winning this competition of materials over the years, because we've been able to reinvent ourselves and improve the qualities and capabilities of our product. The other products are older, but of course you're being used in new ways. That's the attractive part. But if we look at this, the attractiveness of die-cast aluminum is all around part consolidation, manufacturing simplification, which is further enhanced because you start with a skateboard design. And then, of course, that leads to some assembly line CapEx savings, which, of course, are very valuable for automakers. Now, the disadvantages, there are quite a few, and that's why die casting hasn't been as extensively used over the years. When it comes right down to it, and I'll show some more data in a second, the part costs themselves are higher. If you're not offsetting it with manufacturing savings, then you're going to end up with a higher cost design, or maybe no cost improvement. There's many issues on yields, defects, related to high tooling costs and trying to extend tooling life, and also cracking. You can go through the internet and you can look at pictures posted by people out there of cracks in their die-cast aluminum parts. If we look at the weight, because you need the aluminum to flow in such large castings, they're increasing the thickness through many of the areas of the die-cast part. That's leading to increased weight, not decreased weight. Typically in the past, aluminum solutions have been lower weight, but these are not compared to the optimum steel solutions. And then, of course, if you get in an accident with these, extremely difficult to repair. Many of the vehicles are being written off, or at the very least, it's starting to impact insurance costs. And automakers are even discussing now redesigning load paths in their vehicle to avoid damage to the die-cast. So if you didn't have enough challenges keeping occupants safe and batteries safe, now you're protecting the die-cast as well with increased bumper strength and new load paths that increases the strength of other parts. So this technology has some benefits, but its negative aspects need to be very closely looked at, and that's why we think steel can succeed. Now, I'm going to jump in what ArcelorMittal's doing, but you probably need a little more foundation on some of the things we have done, so I'm going to give you a little bit of that before I get into the details here. Over the years, we do have the largest and certainly most global portfolio of products, but we've also, over the last 10 plus years, invested heavily in our engineering capability so that we can sit at the design table with automakers. And I mentioned that we have been involved in many of the designs to prevent them from going to alternate materials. And we're proud of that we're bringing value to the auto industry. We also have a lot of experience of working with battery electric vehicle manufacturers. You'll probably remember that the first vehicles were aluminum intensive. And now what you see is battery electric vehicles are steel intensive. We were at the design tables with those automakers to make the new generations, to prove to them that a steel intensive design was the better way to go. And then lastly, many automakers start with an aluminum intensive battery box, and we're working with automakers every day to go to a steel intensive battery box. And we're seeing those transitions. In fact, we're seeing some automakers committing to all steel battery boxes. So we're winning back applications from aluminum, and this is what our technology and our efforts can do. I also want to just give you some facts and figures. ArcelorMittal globally shipped 11.5 million tons to the automotive industry in all parts of the world. I'll show you a little bit of a picture in a second where we have some of our assets. But this is unparalleled. There is no other steel solution company out there providing these kind of volumes. We have the broadest product range. We have operations, as I mentioned, around the globe. And our customers tell us that we're ranked #1 in technology. And that is our focus, is solutions for our customers. Again, a little bit of background. We were the pioneers of press-hardened steels. Today, we have the broadest product offering, and I'll talk to you about our latest product coming out in press-hardened steels in a few slides. When we came to market with Gen 3 steels are a very, very difficult steel. Many in the auto industry were waiting for years for us to come with this, and it's because the technology was so advanced. But I want to tell you that from day one, ArcelorMittal came with the leanest chemistry to the market, and that caused a lot of challenges in our internal process technology. We had to get our steel assets to do things they'd never done before, but we did that to make sure that our customers had the best weldability product, even though it's still very difficult to weld. But we wanted to make sure we came with the best, and we did from day one. We're the pioneers of hot dip galvanizing for exposed products. We've got our tailor welded blanks divisions that are around the globe now. I'll talk more about that in a second. And then we've always packaged all of these solutions we have into vehicle designs so that we can demonstrate to automakers for each class of vehicle that we have the designs and the technologies to give you our thoughts on what the steel industry believes is the best part, the best location to use each of our grades of steel. And at least it's an input that automakers can use. So we've historically had a full catalog of solutions for internal combustion engine vehicles, and now we have almost a full catalog of solutions for battery electric and plug-in hybrid electric vehicles. But I want to focus a little bit on multi-part solutions because they are the answer to aluminum die casting, and they're also the answer to improving just the cost structure of battery electric vehicles as we go forward. Now this example here I'm showing, I just want to emphasize it for a second. It shows what we believe are the 6 most impactful multi-part solutions that automakers can use in a vehicle. And I want to show this slide. This is a bit busy now, but if you look at the bottom left corner first, you will see that we have a full range of multi-part solutions for automakers to use. It's not just the 6, but I just want to emphasize that for a second. Now let's go back to only the 6. It's in the top left corner. That is the same slide as we just looked at a second ago. And on the right-hand side, I want to show you our efforts as a company to try and prove to automakers that these steel solutions can help you. We knew if we showed up to the automakers and we said, these solutions will lower your manufacturing costs, these solutions will help you, on part costs, that, the auto companies are going to be a little skeptical of the steel guys telling them what they should know about their manufacturing. So, of course, we brought in experts. Bertrand and Kuka, globally well-known suppliers to the auto industry, and they did the analysis, and they're more than pleased that we put their name on these results. They went through extensive analysis. This is only a summary table. If you want more details, reach out to your ArcelorMittal technical reps and they can give you more of the details of this. But you see that our multi-part solutions had significant reductions in the number of operators at assembly, the body shop area, the number of robots, the CapEx, assembly cost, hours per vehicle, part count, reduction in spot welds. And then, of course, through optimizing the way you can with these multi-part solutions, there was an improvement in material utilization rate. Now, we didn't just stop there. That analysis looks at traditional single-part manufacturing and the improvements we would make. This is a little less quantitative, this analysis, but again, contact your ArcelorMittal technical rep for more details. We've now compared the multi-part, and this is showing the rear underbody solution where die-cast aluminum has been used the most. And what you see is we take the reference single-part design, we compare qualitatively the steel multi-part to it, and then of course we compare the aluminum die-cast. And the big results are the aluminum die-cast is heavier and more costly, as we talked about. And again, we can share some of these details from our detailed analyses we've done. So it's great to have a technology for auto companies, but can we supply? You know, can we meet your needs? You're building global platforms now that you're trying to really optimize. And yes, ArcelorMittal can meet your needs around the globe. So if you look here, we have extensive assets in North America, Europe, China, India, and we've also just installed our first asset in Brazil, and we will continue to invest in all of these locations to meet customers' demands. We've also licensed a competitor in North America, and just this year, we've already signed 3 licenses with Japanese Tier 1 firms, one of which is named, they've gone public, and we have 3 more partners in Japan who are looking or very close to signing license deals with us. So ArcelorMittal will license its technology to make sure that customers have the solutions they need around the globe. Now, this is some data you won't see. This is data that we've not published before, but you know, it's nice to have the technology, it's nice to have it around the world, but are people choosing it? Do people agree with us? I can stand up here and talk all day, but if customers don't buy it, then it's not the best solution. Well, here's what's happening in the market. If you look at our press-hardened laser-welded blanks only, we do other types of laser-welded blanks, but if you look at only our press-hardened steel, laser-welded blanks, we'll ship more than 30 million of them this year. And we've been growing over the last 5 years at a compound annual growth rate of 18%. That's pretty good in any steel or auto business. So you can see that this technology is being adopted very broadly and quickly. But what's more important is the blue line. The blue line is the large multi-part laser-welded blanks of press-hardened steels. Those are parts that have between 2 and 7 welds. We have 7 weld, really large parts out in the marketplace today. That now makes up half of all our shipments. It's been growing at over 30% compound per year in the last 5 years. And we don't see an end to it with the discussions of automakers. Now, the only last point I want to point out, there's been automakers who've talked that some of their biggest fears are the Chinese automakers and how fast they're advancing. I want to tell you here today that China is adopting these solutions at about 2 times the rate. I'm not talking numbers, we know their industry's big, I'm talking rate. 2 times the rate of the Western world. So they are really seeing the value in these solutions, and everyone should be aware of that. Okay, so we have technology, we can offer it globally, customers are adopting it and liking it. That's not enough. We've got to drive down the costs. Now, this is a busy chart, you can study it later, we'll leave this with you. But in the upper left-hand corner, it shows that our laser-welded solution for press-hardened steel was a 4-step process. It needed ablation offline. We are in the final stages today of fully integrating with our partners and suppliers the technology, newly patented, for all inline. We're going to take out that offline step. We're going to drive down the costs. And while we think it's already the most cost-effective solution for you, we're going to drive them down further. We know this is what you need for your cost challenges, and that's what we're committed to do. Okay? You won't see this from the aluminum die casting. Sure, people are working on tooling life, but this is something that we're doing on the steel side. Now, I've talked a lot about multi-parts. I'll just give you a couple last comments before I finish. We're bringing out still new generations of hot stamp steels. We've heard from customers. I was in Germany just a few weeks ago, and one customer said, I need higher strength, higher energy absorbing press hardened steels. Well, Ductibor 1500 is launched this year. It has the strength of Usabor 1500, but it has the energy absorption of Ductibor 1000. Again, it's a highly valued product. We can show you where we think it's best in a vehicle as a starting point. It does have some advantages in some locations. It's not meant for every location. But again, it's a new product, and we will lead the world with this kind of steel available and maintain our broadest product offering. If we look at electrical steels, we are going to commission in Europe, in France, by the end of this year. And you know that we've got Department of Energy funding, and we're seriously looking at an investment here and elsewhere around the globe. ArcelorMittal believes it has leading technology for electrical steels, and we will be a bigger player in that market. And then lastly, in North America, when we did sell some assets, we lost our martensitic product. We've introduced a new martensitic product, and it is superior to the old one in that it has increased flatness and it performs much better at our customers' plants. So with that, I do want to emphasize that we think great designs in steel are going to continue to be great designs in auto, because steel will be the material of choice. I want to emphasize ArcelorMittal is committed to finding solutions for customers. If we're not giving you all the right solutions, tell us and we'll get busy. And then lastly, we understand you have to study all of these competing solutions, but we think you're going to come back to steel in the end. Thank you for your time and attention.